Wagner.
Have a report from the Committee on Rules.
All right, Secretary Reed received the report from the Committee on Rules.
From the Committee on Rules, Senate Resolution number 109, Special Order Calendar. Be it resolved by the Senate that the following bills and the order name shall be the special, paramount, and continuing order of business, taking precedence over all other matters until disposed of for the 25th legislative day only. On page 57 of the calendar, House Bill number 538 by Representative Baker relating to absentee ballots. On page 49, House Bill number 285 by Representative Allen relating to elections. On page 41, House Bill 167 by Representative Blackshear relating to voting fraud or illegality. On page 29, House Bill 116 by Representative Stanridge relating to elections. On page 57, House Bill 154 by Representative Witt relating to campaign finance reports. On page 72, House Bill 388 by Representative Carnes relating to elections. On page 42, House Bill 312 by Representative Wheeler relating to elections.
Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Senator Wagner.
move the Senate adopt the report from the Committee on Rules.
All right, Senator McClendon.
May I be recognized? Thank you, sir, for the
Recognized.
recognition. I return to continue the discussion that we've had on the deplorable condition of health care in Alabama. I've given you all a number of statistics. I think I'll not add to that list today, but I will try to inform you that there are 2 state agencies that are charged with promoting health care for Alabamians. Oddly enough, both of those state agencies are under total and absolute control of a private trade group who I have referred to as the Mucho Dinero Club. I want everyone to understand during this discussion today, I am not targeting any individuals. I'm not holding anyone at fault. I'm not in any way suggesting that our state public health officer, who is a good man, he is not the issue. He is not the problem. He has served under most difficult times and has served remarkably. My concern is the system that we have here in Alabama. This system has been in place for over 100 years. It was put in place by a previous Alabama legislative body. And my point is that the Alabama legislature has the responsibility to fix this travesty. I do bring you today some updated news. You know, I have told you that we have the highest opioid prescription rate in the nation. I have a release here from the Department of Public Health. This was dated April 21st of 2021. Yeah, I believe this was yesterday. So this is hot off the press. The press release that came out of ADPH emphasizes the increased death rate that we have from overdoses of opioids and fentanyl. With that being said, is it really true that a private trade group that controls not one but 2 separate state agencies? And these are the 2 agencies charged with the responsibility of the health and welfare of Alabamians. And is it true that we have the worst health care in the nation? Well, I've given you the statistics. You've seen some of the numbers. I have plenty more. But what I want to talk about today is a term You may not be familiar with this term, but I think you will instantly recognize the appropriateness of this.
Would the gentleman yield for a question before you get into that portion of it?
I will, Senator Singleton.
I don't want to stop.
I hate to be interrupted and lose my chain of thought.
Yeah, that's why I just wanted, before you left that subject matter, I want a question about when you was talking about inadequate health care in the state of Alabama.
Would you object if I keep the flow going?
Please go ahead, and then you'll talk later.
We'll be glad to dialogue.
Continue. I apologize. Continue.
Oh, don't apologize to
look,
me.
I understand this. You know, I know this better than anybody else, so I understand when you're in your flow. Go ahead, sir.
So let's talk about this term of regulatory capture. I want you all to understand what regulatory capture is about. To bring the concept home, well, let's get a definition. We're going to get a definition of regulatory capture. It is the corruption of authority that occurs when a political entity or a regulatory agency is co-opted to serve the commercial or political interest of a minor constituency, such as a particular group, industry, ideological group, or in this case, a profession. When regulatory capture occurs, a special interest is prioritized over the general interest of the public, leading to a net loss for society. The fact is, Alabama is the only state that has turned over its medical regulatory and policy-making body to a private organization. So it is a fact we have the worst health care in the nation. And to bring this concept home to you, I want to read to you from a complaint filed against the Board of Medical Examiners, a state agency. The complainant was an employee. Now, this is very entertaining, and I know you'll love it. On Wednesday, September 20th of 2017, the Department of Public Health held their customary monthly board meeting. Then those same individuals moved to the Medical Association building, that's a private trade group, and had their customary monthly Medical Association of Alabama Board of Censors meeting. Then the same group walked over to the State Board of Medical Examiners building and had their customary State Board of Medical Examiners board meeting. All three board meetings involving the same medical doctors, just wearing different hats. This is an example of regulatory capture at its finest. Not only does this private trade group, who I've referred to as the Mucho Dinero Club, control the agency that polices them, they have total control over the Alabama Department of Public Health. Not only do they name the members of the Board of Public Health, they name the public health officers. I am not targeting the current public health officer. He's done a remarkable job under the most trying of circumstances. I am targeting the system that this legislature is allowing to exist. Under the current system in Alabama, neither the legislature nor the governor have any authority over the Board of Public Health or the public health officer. This is regulatory capture at its finest. How do we correct this problem? The way we correct other problems. We need legislation that will replace the laws that were enacted over a century ago. I suggest that we have legislation that, one, makes the state health officer a member of the governor's cabinet. with the advice and consent of the Senate. Number two, that the members of the State Board of Health have representatives from many health professional groups, not dominated by a single provider group, and that these members are nominated by their respective licensing agencies and not by private dues-paying associations. This is a remedy that is in place in states throughout the nation, states that all have better outcomes, health outcomes, than we have in Alabama. But wait, there is a bill like this. That bill, in fact, has 19 co-sponsors. That bill, in fact, was given a favorable committee report 6 weeks ago. And it looks like that bill is not going to see the light of day. We have a serious problem in Alabama. It is past time for this body to address the core issues that are holding our state back. Senator Singleton, if you'd like to dialogue, I have completed my statement.
Okay. Mr. President, may I indulge and have a dialogue with the gentleman?
Yes, sir, Senator Singleton.
Without losing your time or place, you was up here, you was talking about Alabama being one of the worst healthcare states in the nation in terms of our healthcare. I'm looking at the fact that this whole recovery that's coming out of Washington now, that has all of this F-match money that's there now. While we may not want to call it expansion of Medicaid, I think that this is probably one of the better years to do something about health care in the state of Alabama. Whatever anybody want to call it, but I think that now that there's a 5% boost, and now you're not just only looking at under what we looked at up under Obamacare, we were only looking at those people that did not have any medical care at all, which was about 340,000 Alabamians who go to work every day that doesn't have health care. Now this F-match is based on the 1.1 million people that we will have on Medicaid, which will equal to about potentially $975 million to the state of Alabama for 2 years. So with that, and I don't care what we call it, do you see that as a good time that's right now for us to start looking at how we could deal with some of these inadequacies of health care in the state of Alabama?
Fair question. First thing, we've got to fix this underlying regulatory capture issue we have in Alabama. We can pump more money into the system. We've got to get the system cleaned up.
Okay.
And I say step A is let's get this system cleaned up. Let's get some fairness in it. Let's put our citizens in a position to start receiving quality health care. And then I will tell you, I believe you're exactly right. We're turning away money. We have people that are not getting treated, and that's an absolute travesty, and it's a sign of irresponsibility on those groups, those agencies that are responsible for the health and welfare in Alabama. I would love for those agencies to come forward and take a position. I would love for the private trade groups to take a public position exactly as you've outlined.
Thank you. And would you help me understand that regulatory, what you just used, the
regulatory capture.
How do we fix that? Because I'm willing to help you fix that if that helps us get on the path to helping people get better health care in the state of Alabama. I'm willing. I stand here publicly and say to you today, I don't understand that concept, and I heard you read it out, and I'm sure that most people in this room doesn't understand that concept. This is new to me. I'm willing to help you. So how do we get it done? Procedurally, what we need to do.
Regulatory capture. The system we have was put in place in Alabama between 1858 and 1890.
Okay. Wow.
I think it's time to update the system. The way we update the system, the way we deal with the regulatory capture is legislatively.
Okay.
There is legislation that has been proposed. One piece of legislation was killed in committee. Amazing, isn't it?
Wow.
Another piece of legislation that deals with the State Board of Health came out of committee and it stopped.
But does the bill that you brought out with the State Board of Health, does that help with the regulatory capture?
Absolutely. It takes care of one of those agencies, and which would be the State Board of Health. It gets them out from under total control by a private group, a private trade group that I've been referring to as the Mucho Dinero Club.
And I know your bill wanted to put them under the governor so that way that person become a cabinet member under the governor instead of those groups. And frankly, you know, when you showed me that committee list, it seemed to be the same people on the same, swapping out on the same two committees.
Yeah,
Public Health and the Medical Association.
That's the little piece I read out of that lawsuit against the Board of Medical Examiners, where the same folks are sort of the board of directors of that private trade group. Identical people are. Then they name the people on the State Board of Health, the same people. They name the people on the Board of Medical Examiners, same people again. All three of them, the same list of people. They have three different hats.
So by putting the health officer under the governor, that takes away one portion of it. That in terms of them making that appointment. So how does the board then, just because we take the health officer and put him under there, we won't have a health board anymore?
Oh yes, we will have a health board.
So who will then appoint the health board?
The health board, the members of that health board would be brought forward by the licensing agency of many, many different health providers in Alabama. Right now, the State Board of Health is totally dominated by physicians. Totally dominated. Because it's the board of directors for the Medical Association. But it's what this bill says, we'll have representatives from a number of health professions, not just one. Those people that provide health care to Alabamians will have a voice. We'll have a dentist on there. We'll have an optometrist. We'll have a nurse. We'll have a physical therapist. We'll have a variety of people.
Or just a consumer?
Yes. So, yep, it changes it and it brings it up current with all the other states.
Well, you know, it's interesting that you're bringing this, and now it just, you know, perks my little antennas to come up to start looking at this, because if this is what holding us back from giving people adequate health care, then we need to, how do we shake up the apricot, you know, and how we get there, and because my thing is that I want, you know, a good standard quality of health care for people. I want people to have accessibility to community health care, and you know, I want people to have decent hospitals that they can go to, and doctors who are willing to rotate, and especially in rural areas. And I think that if this is what's holding us back since the 1800s, and we need to bring it up to date, then I'm willing to sit down with you and look at that. I don't know what that looks like. That's what I'm saying.
Senator Singleton, if me being at the mic these last several days or a couple of weeks have helped educate you as to the problem that we have here in Alabama, the underlying problem, then I've been successful.
You have.
And
I've been listening to you.
I appreciate you coming forward and taking notes.
Yes, sir. I listen. I don't just stand around here. You know, my people send me down here to be a voice for them. And I can't be a voice if I'm not present. I can't be a voice if I'm not engaged. And so that's why I try to stay engaged in the process. I may not be the sharpest tool in the toolbox, but I'm in the toolbox. And so I at least know when the hammer's gonna come out and nail some more, because I see it and I'm there. So at least I could be able to share information back with my people, even though as a tool I never get used.
All right, the
But I'm in
time's
toolbox.
expired.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Singleton.
Senator Wagner, was your motion to approve the special order calendar
Motion
using the
to
previous
adopt.
roll? All right, any objection?
No objection.
All right, hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Williams.